And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look here at a little game called Marvel Infinity Gauntlet, a love letter game. Now, I have to say, when I first heard about this game, I smirked quite a bit because there's a lot of these love letter games out there. The one I make fun of the most is the Batman love letter game, but I do like that this one's just called Marvel Infinity Gauntlet, and in a small corner of the clamshell that you get, this is the game's now in this little bag instead of the clamshell, in the small corner just says a love letter game. This is actually not love letter, it's a game based on love letter. Still though, hasn't that ship been run into the ground? So I went into this one with some trepidation. It's a game obviously based on a very popular IP, an IP I like a lot, but an IP I'm going to hold to high regard. Here we go. In this game, one player is going to be Thanos, and 1 to 5 players will be the Avengers. If you play with just one player, they get to do, they basically act as if they're 2 players to some degree. And you're going to put these markers here. This is the hero's health. If it gets down to 0, then the Thanos wins. Thanos' health will start based on basically how many people are playing the game. So let's say it's a 4-player game. It would start there. And if his health gets down to 0, then the heroes win. Now, each of the heroes is going to have a single card in their hand. Thanos is going to have 2 cards in his hand. He'll take the first turn, and then everyone else just goes in clockwise until somebody wins. On your turn, you'll draw a card from the deck, and then you will play a card in front of you and do whatever the card says. Now, you notice that all 3 of these cards that I've drawn here are Infinity Stones. There's actually 6 of those in Thanos' deck. If he ever has 6 of them, he could have 2 in his hand and 4 in front of him, Thanos will win the game. So Thanos can win the game in 2 different ways. The heroes can only win by defeating Thanos. That's pretty much the whole game, but it's how you play the cards that matter. So you'll notice the cards on them are numbered. The cards go from 1 to 6 for the heroes, and Thanos has a card that's 7, which is actually Thanos. At the bottom of the card, it shows you how many cards are in a deck of that number. So Thanos only has 1 6 in a deck. He has 2 5s, and one of them is an Infinity Stone. And each player has a card that shows you what all the cards of your opponent are. So the players will take this, it shows you all Thanos cards, and whereas Thanos will take this and see the cards that they have. And the cards will do different things. So for example, if you play a number 1, so for heroes, here's Spider-Man, guess a number, defeat 1 card of that number in Thanos' hand. So I can say 3. Thanos has it, it's defeated. Whenever a card is defeated, let's say this is the card in his hand, then it's discarded and you lose 1 health. Now the Infinity Stones, when they're defeated, they get shuffled back in the deck. So Thanos could draw them again, but if another card's defeated, like the Black Dwarf 3, then that one would be gone. Many of the cards allow you to fight your opponent, like the Black Dwarf here. When you fight your opponent, the hero you'll pick a hero if you're Thanos, or if you're the hero, you'll pick Thanos. The hero fights with the other card in their hand, and Thanos will pick one of his 2 cards, or if it's the hero, it's a random draw from the 2 cards. Each of those players will look at them secretly. You don't show the other players. And the higher number will win. The other cards defeat it, and that team will lose a life. The defeated card is placed in the pile. Now, heroes cannot tell each other the cards they have in their hand. If there's cards that let them look at Thanos' hand, you can't give that information out either. But you can talk about public information. So if I was a 2 and I fought Thanos and lost, the other players can now say, well, Thanos definitely has a 3 or higher. A tie would mean both cards go back to their hands. So we have some information, and you can talk about open information, but you can't talk about hidden information. And there's all sorts of cards in here, like the Reality Stone lets you draw 2 cards and put 2 cards in the bottom of the deck. The Space Stone here, you may fight up to 2 different opponents. Here, choose an opponent if they're holding a 3 or higher, defeat their card. Here's a guess a number. It's the same for both players. Here it says take 3 power tokens. Now, in this game, the players can get power tokens. These are just placed in front of you. The next time you're in a fight, you must use a power token if you have it, and it simply adds 2 to your value, and then it's discarded. You have to use it whether you want to or not, but you can only use 1 per fight. And that's pretty much how the game plays. The games aren't very long. They're going to go pretty quickly until either Thanos wins by getting the Infinity Stones out or defeating the heroes, or if the heroes defeat Thanos. I really like the components for this game. Everything comes, and you can put it in this little bag here. These are nice little plastic. I mean, it almost reminds me of 3D printed plastic. The artwork is fantastic. The card quality is good. It's linen finished cards. I love that they have these reference cards which kind of explain each card, although the rulebook has even more detail if you don't get it. This card here is actually a setup card. It tells you how to set up the game, and then you use it to keep track of life. I don't know that I love these sliders here because on the table itself, they just don't move as nicely as I'd like them to. But that would be my only minor quibble about it. Other than that, it's a fantastic little package. Okay, so this is a version of Love Letter, and I felt for a while when AEG was putting out Love Letter, and even after Z-Man first got it, there was just so many Love Letters. And there's a lot of themed ones that are out there, and there's a lot of Love Letters which are essentially the same game with different pictures on them. Even the Batman Love Letter, which is my favorite of the group, has only a slight deviation. The Marvel one here is the farthest from this that we've seen thus far. It is the farthest change from it. It turns it into a one versus all, where one person is playing Thanos. And yes, you can play this one person, but you can play against a group of people. And to me, that improves the experience quite a bit. Now, I guess the question would be, is it balanced? So far, it has been 50%-ish. In the games that we play where Thanos has won and the heroes have won. The heroes have this limited communication, which works well for me. I don't like no communication, but you're still allowed to talk to each other, and there's still the whole, I'm going to let you look at someone else's hand. Now it's your turn. Attack them. You know what I mean? And there's that interesting idea, or it's your turn, now play the card. I'm going to guess, do you have a 4? You do? I love that part. And so there's that limited communication. You can talk about stuff that you can see and everything, but it doesn't make it easier, and I don't think the number of heroes makes it easier for them because, first of all, they have a harder time hitting Thanos, and secondly, Thanos has cards where he can just guess a number, and if it's in anyone's hands, they're defeated. So the more heroes, the bigger the chance that that number is out there. So it's a great, I played it a couple times with 3 players. It's a really good 3-player game, but it expands well. I also like the 2 different victory conditions for Thanos. If he has all 6 Infinity Stones, he can have 4 and have 2 in his hand, or just have all 6 out there and then snap your fingers, game's over, you win. I really like that. This is by far my favorite of the Love Letter series. Love Letter was a great game when it came out. I really enjoyed it. A micro game with 18 cards. This one's bigger because there's 2 decks, but it's still a very small game. And this one plays so well. This one plays so well that I'll never play Love Letter again. I'd rather play this one. It's just so fast, it's smooth, it's simple. The theme works in this game, and most people know the theme. And I played this quite a few times with my kids. My kids all like, the Marvel Universe. They all understood the characters. But even if you don't know the characters, that whole guess a number, work together, play it, you lost. Sometimes the game doesn't work out. You play again. And it's faster. The original Love Letter was a longer game than I thought it needed to be. This one's just a one-time, everyone against somebody, and it just plays smoothly. It fits the theme. It's not called Love Letter. It's just called Marvel Infinity Gauntlet. And it's a great little portable game. This is easy to move around, carry in your pocket. I like it a lot. Highly recommend it from me, Marvel Infinity Gauntlet. Dice Tower Judgment, excellent.